Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I'd like to open the Board of Adjustment public hearing on MidAmerican Energy conditional use permit. Call the meeting to order at 7. Got a roll call. Dawn?
Present.
Got Mary Catherine?
Here.
Fred?
Here.
Mike? Here. David? Here. You have a motion to approve the agenda. Did you find the agenda in the front?
I make a motion we approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Yeah. Okay, all in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now we'd like to have a motion to approve the August 1st minutes. Did you find those in the packet? Okay. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, Fred. Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, the Board of Adjustment serves as a quasi-judicial board appointed by the Madison County Board of Supervisors. The board's decision-making process is like that of a court of law. It will hear the evidence that is presented from both opponents and proponents, determine if the applicant has met all the requirements of the applicable ordinances and regulations, and then issue a decision based upon the law. In order to conduct the hearing within a reasonable time and keep the subject to hand, you are asked to observe the following rules. After the staff presentation, the applicants will present their case fully and furnish this board with pertinent information. Each person addressing the board must state his or her name and address and sign in at the podium. Please refrain from repeating what has been said before you, and please do not involve personalities. Be as factual as possible. It is important you state the reason you have taken a position for or against the proposal. The board reserves the right to question any speaker. All statements or questions must be directed to the chairperson. Okay, I'd like to request a motion to open the public hearing on the request of MidAmerican Energy Company for a conditional use permit and height authorization in Section 10, Madison Township, currently owned by Godby Eisenberg Family Farm Property. Do I hear a motion to open the hearing?
I'll make a motion to
Okay. Is there a second?
I second.
Second. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, the public hearing on the conditional use permit request for MidAmerican Energy Company is open at 7:03. The purpose of this hearing is to review and subsequently render a decision on the request of MidAmerican Energy Company to obtain a conditional use permit to construct the electric transmission switching station substation on the following described real estate, currently owned by Godby Eisenberg Family Farm LLC. Parcel C in the west 820 feet of the north 1/2 of the southwest 1/4 of Section 10 T77N R28 west of the 5th prime meridian, Madison County, Iowa, and so on. Okay, now we have a staff report by Ryan.
First of all, thanks for everybody coming. Good to see everybody interested in the subject at hand. I'd just like to go through the packet with you guys, if you've had time to review all of it or not, and then we'll come back to my staff report and go over that as well. To begin with, obviously you guys have seen your agenda and your minutes from the previous meeting. The first tab there shows the zoning commission recommendation, which was held October 19th. They made a motion to deny this project by a 3-2 vote. Following that is my staff report, which we'll come back to. Right after that is the engineer's report, which he did a very thorough job, in my opinion, of the report from the engineer's office. The last page before we get into the blue one is the report from the conservation department. Steve Pearson put together as well. And once we get to the blue, the first blue tab, that is our special use or conditional use permit application. And then we've got MidAmerican addressing the application with that letter. I'd like for you guys to take the time to read if you haven't already. Beyond that is a purchase agreement that was recorded on this day a year ago. Yellow tab is all the information for publication. I've got an affidavit of mailing that anybody on this list received notification of the hearings. Beyond that is our mailing labels that went to the surrounding property owners within 500 feet. Next page is the map of that 500-foot boundary. And then lastly there is the affidavit of publication from the Madisonian. Following that in the orange tab is the zoning project department plan distribution. This again was sent to the Madison County Soil and Water Conservation District, the Madison County Conservation, Madison County Sheriff, Madison County Attorney, the Natural Resource Conservation Service, Madison County Engineer, and the Madison County Environmental Health Office. Just kind of giving them a breakdown of the project and asking for their input if they have any. The next page is the public hearing notice that was posted as required. After the next tab, the teal or green tab, is comment that I received from individuals of the public, which you can read, and they may speak upon this as well. Dave and Shelley Marsh is the first one. Mary Jobst was the second, and then Rachel Terhart provided the last one. And then the yellow is the Board of Adjustment, just kind of general information fact sheet for you guys to reflect on if need be. Obviously, we won't be dealing with anything other than the special exceptions, special uses or conditional uses here. And then lastly, in that, after the blue one, is the findings of facts and principles upon which the board acts. This is kind of a reflection of what's in our ordinance and what applies to this specific proposal. Later on, we will ask to adopt that after we make our decision. And then in that last, in the sleeve there is a decision-making worksheet based on this proposal. And then, as I mentioned, on the back is a larger site plan for this project. So now I'll dive into the administrator's report and recommendation. The applicant here is MidAmerican Energy Company. Property owner is Gabi Eisenberg Family Farm, LLC. Its currently zoned agricultural parcel is 24.79 acres. Board of Adjustment action is required. This request requires approval and authorization by the Board of Adjustment after consideration of the recommendation from the zoning commission and the conservation board, as well as the environment, or the engineer. Current legal use of this property, it is currently nothing but agricultural row crop. No current structures located here, other than along the south end of this parcel is a electric transmission line running east and west. Parcel C is a part of a 200-acre tract of land owned by Godby Eisenberg Family Farm. Just a little bit about the history. Graham Godby purchased this property in 1942 from Conrad Peterson family for $11,000. In 2004, MidAmerican Energy put in electric easement to the south. This project area is agricultural land located at a dead end of 115th Lane and approximately 2.16 miles southeast of the city limits of Irwin. The proposed location is at the end of a Level B county road. No further review from any incorporated city is required due to it being greater than 2 miles from the corporate boundaries. According to the site plan prepared for this project, the entirety of the parcel will be used for some component of the electric transmission station, substation. Nothing will remain in agricultural production. Staff has determined the CSR2 rating of this particular parcel at 88.66. No portion of parcel C falls within the FEMA flood zone area. Currently, there is an agricultural entrance northeast corner of parcel C, but included in the site plan, it appears there is a desire for another driveway to be installed further east, of which both will need to be reviewed and approved by the Madison County engineer. To my knowledge, this has not yet taken place. More than likely will if it is approved. So I've listed on here, let's see. Mailed to property owners within 500 feet on October 10th, 2023, and the notice was published in the paper on October 4th. And then there's a list of the agencies that received notification once again. And then there's, again, some kind of findings of fact material, and that's applicable zoning administration or zoning ordinances for this request. The applicants propose to erect an electric transmission switching station with a maximum height of 75 feet. All required documents have been submitted pursuant to the Madison County zoning ordinance for issuance of a conditional use permit. Any improvements to the site and all activities occurring on the site must meet the rules and regulations of all local, state, and federal agencies, and applicable permits must be obtained prior to any work being done. This is a review to give the Zoning Commission and Board of Adjustment an opportunity to review the proposal, the layout, the access, lot size, and to provide the facts needed to determine if the request meets the zoning ordinance and to receive input from other stakeholders and the public regarding the proposed project. It is noted that the request does conflict with the Madison County Comprehensive Plan due to the 88.66 CSR2 rating. The comprehensive plan specifically states to preserve and protect prime productive agricultural land 70 CSR and above from development and utilize less productive land first. It also states to ensure that the comprehensive plan is considered whenever major alterations or improvements are proposed. Staff understands that a conditional use permit can provide some flexibility to a county ordinance and the comprehensive plan. However, I feel that The request is just outside of the scope of flexibility because of the extent to which the average CSR is above the called out 70 CSR. Again, for me, why do we have a plan if we're not going to use it in making our decisions? Kind of that plan is used to guide us in the direction that we as a county see importance in. Another area of concern for me was brought to my attention by the engineer's report, and that's having adequate infrastructure. The fact that this substation would be located on a minimum maintenance level B road wouldn't provide adequate infrastructure to the proposed location. Minimum maintenance roads throughout the county see very little attention by the secondary roads department. Accessibility of the substation is seen to be very important. However, no aggregate or maintenance is applied to the secondary roads department, or applied by the secondary roads department to minimum maintenance roads, which I see during a winter storm or even a significant rainfall. This road possibly becoming impassable. I mean, if you get a good amount of rain, you're going to have to deal with mud because there is no rock on it, and then snow's not going to be pushed from it either in any timely manner. So staff does continue to recommend denial based on the information that we have. So, you guys have any questions for me?
What does it take to change a road from a level B to a regular road?
Well, I've kind of had that conversation with Mike Hackett, our engineer. Obviously, the county has no interest in doing this. It would be between the engineer and the developer of this project to get it to be to a level A, which I don't have knowledge of what that would completely entail. If you're good, we'll go ahead and move on.
Okay, so next we have comments from individuals wishing to speak in support of the project, beginning with the applicants.
Just take a second to sign in the sign-in sheet.
Yeah, please.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. Very much appreciate it. My name is Dane Stevens. I work at MidAmerican. I'm the vice president of the transmission area. Several other folks in the MidAmerican team are here tonight to answer questions if necessary. Just wanted to first reference the letter that we did send last week. I think that letter has a lot of the information in it about why MidAmerican believes that the board should approve the conditional use permit for this project. I do have a few talking points, high-level items, just want to go over. Some of it is repetitive of the letter, some of it is sort of new information as well. So a little bit about MidAmerican Energy. So we're proud to safely and reliably provide electric service and natural gas service in several states, including Iowa, Illinois, South Dakota, and parts of Nebraska. Within Madison County, MidAmerican serves the electric needs of the communities of Bevington, Earlham, Patterson, St. Charles, as well as many rural areas of Madison County. We also serve natural gas service within Madison County, including here in Winterset. Society is ever increasingly dependent on electricity to power our daily lives, from lighting to air conditioning to powering computers and equipment. In our businesses and schools, we all count on utilities to ensure that our energy is there when we need it. At MidAmerican, we take that responsibility very seriously. It's an essential public service that we are providing, and so we take that responsibility very, very seriously. We therefore are always thinking about what does it take to continue to meet the needs of our customers and our communities as the electric system demands and the use of the system continue to grow, and as the threats to the power system continue to evolve. Things like increasing severity of severe storms, like the tornado that hit here about a year and a half ago, is an example of the kind of weather events that MidAmerican is ever increasingly aware of, and we need to be able to take care of that. Our transmission system is essential to delivering energy not only to MidAmerican's customers, but also to several other utilities and electric power cooperatives throughout the state and here in Madison County. For example, Central Iowa Power Cooperative's Winterset substation, that's a substation that serves substantial parts of Madison County, is connected to and relies upon MidAmerican's transmission system to maintain reliability right here in Winterset and again in a lot of the part of the county. We're aware of some of the comments that have been submitted around the project. People are saying it would be used to facilitate wind projects or solar projects. I'm just here to say it is not planned for that purpose. This project is all about providing reliable service, again, here in Madison County and the counties surrounding Madison County. A few thoughts about the benefits of the project to Madison County. Again, transmission serves that critical public use by improving reliability for everyone in the area. It will also be used in the future to serve load in the area, including areas like DeSoto, rural Erland, and Van Meter. The project is designed to meet the needs of load growth associated with economic development and economic expansion in all of Central Iowa, but also again maintains that reliability aspect. We also expect that the project will provide additional capability in the transmission system, which enhances regional wholesale power markets. So again, our other utilities in Iowa, municipal utilities, rural electric power cooperatives, like Central Iowa Power Cooperative, they benefit from projects like this because it brings costs down of wholesale power supply to the area. This project would also result in fewer miles of electric transmission lines being needed in the future, which impacts landowners less. This is a really good balance, we think, between this location and other locations for that particular reason. A few comments about what the substation is not. I've already said this once, I'll say it again. It's not about a wind farm or a solar project. It simply is not. The substation will not be noisy. It won't be brightly lit. So therefore, it will not be a nuisance. The substation will not be near any occupied dwellings. The nearest dwelling is about a half-mile away. In the letter we sent last week, we provided a lot of information around the zoning ordinance and kind of the legal findings that this board needs to meet in order to approve the conditional use permit. We won't get into all those, just want to maybe touch on a few. Again, in that letter, we talk about factors such as the surrounding area, infrastructure, and intent. I'm not going to rehash that. That's in the letter. I just ask you to please read that. I'm assuming you have read that. And again, we have people here ready to answer questions to that effect. Just with respect to the comprehensive plan, that's been mentioned here tonight, and we want to just address those topics that came up. The approximate 25-acre footprint of the project we view as very small. Of that 25 acres, only about 10.3 acres will be what we call the rocked area of the substation. So that's the area we put down gravel to maintain a stable work surface and a weed-free area to put the electrical equipment inside of that area. And so therefore, we don't expect that such a small footprint would lead to, it also doesn't lead to new land uses in the immediate surrounding area. We don't think it will cause a significant reduction in the amount of grain harvested here in Madison County. The parcel is gently sloping, so significant grading will not be needed in order to construct the substation. That minimizes landscape and drainage disruption in the area around the project. Some comments are regarding the CSR2 information that was provided here. We have looked at other potential properties, east and west, along this property, along the existing electric transmission line, for pretty obvious reasons. The substation needs to be located adjacent to the existing transmission line. If we build the substation away from the transmission line, that means we have to build transmission lines, extensions, to get from the existing transmission line to this substation location. So we're really constrained, we believe it's in the public interest, to site this substation immediately adjacent to where the existing transmission line is today. That was a key factor in our determination of the appropriateness of this particular site. With regard to lower CSR value, score locations, again, we have looked at other areas. Those tend to be located, lower CSRs below that 70 cutoff, tend in this area anyway to be located on either steep slopes with significant grading impacts if needed to construct the substation. And by the way, if you're interested in more around that, we do have some diagrams we can pass out that shows on a single sheet with some color coding the CSR scores compared to the topography, so how hilly the parcels are around the substation. We think those diagrams can be very clearly show you that to get to a lower CSR score area, you really have to go onto a very steep slope, or you end up in floodplains, wetlands, forested areas. Those are the kinds of areas that we think run certainly counter to the comprehensive plans, the stated goals of discouraging development in floodplains and other environmentally sensitive areas. We view this area as clearly a better option than some of those other areas I just mentioned. We think the selected location for the substation balances impacts to land use as well as the cost which electric customers would have to bear. So again, if we go to a steeply sloped facility, have to put in a lot of fill, that adds a lot of cost to the project. All of our electric customers end up paying the cost for these projects. So it isn't the case that it's not important to MidAmerican. It's very important to us to maintain a reasonable cost of our system. In fact, speaking for MidAmerican, our electric rates are like third or fourth lowest in the entire country. Very, very important for us to maintain cost control. And we think, again, that's a reason for this particular site. Just in response to the comments about the minimum maintenance road, I would just say that throughout MidAmerican's extensive system, we have something like on the order of 250 substations of this type around our service areas. A significant number of those substations are located on lower maintenance roads such as these. We have the type of equipment that's needed to traverse roads of this type of condition in poor conditions, wet, snowy conditions. We do it all the time, every day, throughout all of our service territory. And again, if need be, if we felt the need, we would look at options to improve the road if necessary, in order to make sure we had adequate access to the property. My last comment, I appreciate you just indulging me on about talking points. My last comment is that we believe the zoning ordinance expressly includes public utility projects as a permissible conditional use. We don't believe it's unusual at all for substations to be located in rural Iowa, even when the farmland is highly productive. MidAmerican has a number of substations, again, like this throughout the entire state of Iowa and Illinois, where the substations are located on parcels very, very similar to this specific parcel. Final comment, again, electric reliability is what this project was all about. It's critically important for the success of all Iowans, for the success of our businesses, including farms and farming-related businesses, to have a highly reliable electric transmission system. With that, that's the end of my prepared comments. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And again, I do have a team here from MidAmerican ready to answer any specific questions you might have if your format would allow them.
I have a question.
Sure.
I know that you put up or are putting up a big substation just inside Adair County because you said what you want to put up will help. So if it's not that terrible far away, why are you wanting to put one here?
So this
Just a
project,
question.
no, sure. This project is really about some specific reliability needs that we've identified in order to maintain reliability against certain, you know, threats against the power system. We have weaknesses in our system that if the wrong event happens, we can experience poor reliability outside of an area. So electric transmission systems, the way they operate are oftentimes the improvements need to be relatively close to where we expect or that issue to arise. And a location that's several counties away or one county away isn't close enough, if you will, to meet the need. I would just also say, again, we're trying to balance the location of the substation needs to be located on this existing transmission line corridor, and it's very important to not try to locate that substation away from the corridor where then we have to build line extensions to get in and out of it. Does that help answer your question?
No.
I'm sorry.
I mean, only because it looks like I think it's called Arbor Hills substation. It looks like it's on the same transmission lines as what you would use to get to the location in Madison County.
Sure. So that
So
particular substation serves a different purpose and function
Okay.
in terms
Is that
of
the
its
wind farm one or?
right. Its primary purpose is to interconnect a wind farm.
Okay.
This
I know they have a
this
lot.
substation, again, is not about a wind farm. It's not about our solar project. Its purpose is to reinforce the area transmission system.
Okay. And then at some point, is this going to grow? Because I know you're going to take about 10 acres of the almost 25. But, so then from there, how many people, and you probably can't say, I know there's, the Iowa Utilities Board has something to do, but then at some point, are you going to go east and west, or north and south? So you're going to affect other landowners, or just a question?
Sure. So, again, I mentioned this at the last meeting, and I'll kind of go over it again. Because the Iowa Utility Board's transmission line franchising rules are very, very specific around the amount of information that we can convey ahead of a public informational meeting. We really can't get into any specifics about potential future projects. I would just say, again, it was in the letter as well, I believe, but the Iowa Utility Board has extremely robust requirements around the things that MidAmerican has to show in order to get a franchise from the Utilities Board to build an electric transmission line. So there's substantial opportunities for public input and feedback. There's certain findings the Utility Board has to make that the line is necessary to serve a public use as part of a comprehensive plan, and that MidAmerican has met all of the siting requirements, routing requirements that's in the code. I think Iowa has a very well-defined process that's really designed around ensuring that transmission lines, when they are constructed, have as least impact on landowners as possible in the general public. And that's a process that we follow very, very closely.
Does your existing power, transmission lines that go by this property, are they strong enough to handle what the new station will provide?
Yes. Yeah, that we would not anticipate with this project any improvements needed to those existing transmission lines that go through the south edge of this property as part of this project, except for the need to tie into them. We'll put a couple of structures in to basically tie into the existing line so that we can route the line again right into the substation. All that would take place on the parcel that that we would like to utilize for this purpose.
So if I'm understanding, you're saying there'll be no other transmission lines built going in or out of this substation?
So what I'm trying to convey is that when we do have that need to build additional transmission lines in the future, that there will be an IUB process that governs that. that process. I used the word process twice, but there's a utility board franchise proceeding that would govern that.
And when that happens, then more of our good farm ground, like CS 80, will be taken out of production for these main big power lines, and the farmer will be paid nothing after the first 3 years for their use. And if they don't agree, it'll be eminent domain and taken from them, correct?
So MidAmerican always endeavors to, first of all, come up with a line route for any transmission line we construct that has the least amount of impact on landowners as we can. So we'll look for the use of existing lines of land division, existing power lines that we would repurpose for this other use. We do things like using monopole structures, so a single pole structure that holds up the new transmission line, as opposed to what had been commonplace on it for a long time, which was a two-legged structure. Our practice now is to put in a single pole. We can oftentimes put those poles in along fence lines, use very long span lengths, so we don't have to have very many of those poles to get across pieces of property. So the way that we build transmission lines today, I would just say, is again, we endeavor to do the most we possibly can to have the least amount of impact on landowners. And to us, that's the right trade-off. It's more expensive to build them that way, but it's better because it has a balanced impact on landowner impacts.
So the line you have right now is running east and west along the southern border of this 25 acres, right?
That's correct.
So you won't need any going north and south?
I can't get into, again, the utility board rules prohibit the discussion about potential future routes for a very good reason. The franchising rules are built around making sure that anyone who might be impacted by a transmission line has adequate notice in advance before MidAmerican can have any kind of a discussion with those landowners about obtaining easements for the construction of the transmission line. Again, it's a very regimented process that's in place to protect the rights of the landowners.
Another question. So does this mean, yes, you're saying it's not for the wind turbines or for the solar, but does that mean it's not for Microsoft or Facebook or Apple, big electrical transmission station down the line?
So I would just say that the best way I can describe it is the project improves electric reliability in the area, so within Madison County and in the areas around Madison County as well. It's not dedicated to the use of only one customer. It's not a single purpose, sole use type facility. It'd be used for the greater good of the entire grid.
And the entire grid goes through several states, as you mentioned earlier, right?
It does. MidAmerican owns a transmission system that goes through multiple states. I think what I said is this particular project is really to address reliability concerns in and around Madison County. So in a pretty tight area right around Madison County.
Thank you.
And I have one more question. On your height, is that due to the transmission lines, or is that actually structure that will go to, I think you said in here it said 75 feet?
Yeah, so we have someone from our substation engineering group here, but I think I can answer the question. He'll correct me if I'm wrong, but we have structures inside of the fenced area of a substation that are called dead-end structures. So that's where we take the line off of the main transmission line and kind of have what we call slack spans into these dead-end structures and then drop them down to a lower elevation level with some bus work. So there'll be some taller structures right where those transmission lines, the existing transmission lines are tapped into to be brought into the new substation. And I believe we also use lightning shielding. So we put up like structures and then run basically galvanized wire between them to act as a shield to prevent lightning from striking the expensive equipment that's under those shield wires.
How tall are the transmission lines that are there now?
Significantly taller. I think they're probably in the range of 115 or 120 feet, something like that. Quite a bit taller than the structures that would be inside the substation.
do you pay property, so if you're gonna take 25 acres out of a property tax base that supports our Madison County services, are you property tax exempt?
We are not property tax exempt. I'm not an expert in this area, but I do know we will pay additional property taxes as a result of having constructed this substation under Iowa's property taxing rules or framework. We will incur additional property taxes. How those taxes flow back is a very complicated formula, but according to taxing authorities and things like that, I'm not prepared to really get into exactly how that works. But
Will you receive any federal tax dollars to help build the structure? Or carbon credit exchanges or anything?
no. So you might be referring to production tax credits, which are associated with the generation of renewable energy. No, there will be no additional production tax credits. I use the word, there won't be any production tax credits associated with this substation facility.
So you're basically saying that this money that you're spending, $15 million, is just to protect the existing lines that we have in place now?
So what I was trying to convey is that the operation of the electric transmission system is such that we have to make sure that we can keep the system secure from all kinds of different threats. So that might be, those typical ones are weather threat, a severe storm, an ice storm, but it could be all kinds of other things. We have all kinds of things happening all the time in the power system, people crashing things into our structures, airplanes, balloons, you name it. There's a wide variety of reasons why electric transmission lines get taken out of service. And one of the things we're always doing is evaluating our system and how it performs. So can we keep the supply to our customers intact under a wide variety of different conditions like that might occur? And so this project is around providing that additional enhanced reliability to the system to make sure we can maintain electric reliability to all of our customers. Again, I'll say it again, MidAmerican's direct customers, but also those utilities and power cooperatives that are connected to our system as well.
Go on, I'm gonna grab a couple books to put my leg up on, that's all right. I don't touch the ground and it's hurting grab me a couple of those books to use in the books. Helps if you're a little taller than 4'10" and you just have your knee replaced. Thank you. Excuse me. Yeah, great.
Any other questions?
If you do have more questions in the course of your deliberations here tonight, all of us will remain here ready to come back up and answer those questions.
Have any other people in your group want to present anything?
Not at this time.
Any other proponents that want to speak? Okay, so now we'll have individuals who wish to speak. And I've got a little information here to read. If there are numerous people in the audience who would like to speak on the issue, and all represent the same opinion, the chair suggests that a speaker be selected to speak for the entire group. By doing so, your representative will have the opportunity of speaking for a reasonable length of time and presenting a complete case. If no speaker can be selected by the group, the chair will restrict each speaker to 5 minutes in order to allow all the opportunities to be heard. The chair also will rule any irrelevant or off-the-subject comments out of order. So, and we'd like for you to sign in, so who wants to be first? Kelly?
These are just follow along, so they don't need to be filed necessarily. Get one. I'll let you pass these. I'm Shelley Marsh, 1176 Adair Madison Avenue, Dexter. I'm going to sign in here first. Thank you. I got this one too. Good evening. This substation will bring more transmission lines and power poles, utilizing yet more agricultural land. The substation will basically be tax exempt as far as the county is concerned, affecting our tax base negatively. Lowering our tax base may affect the ability to provide essential needs to our residents. This property could very well be provide for $1 million residence that would add to the tax base. Some has already been said by others, so I'm going to add this. The substation may not be for wind turbines or solar in Madison, but very well may be to transport the intermittent renewable energy up to the data centers. Excuse me. One, landowners gain at many landowners' expense, decreasing their tillable land, their property value, the opportunity to sell, and their view shed alone can be greatly affected and destroyed with new lines and poles. Section 14E12 in the ordinance states, private utility company may be permitted, but it does not state that the county must allow it, just that it can be permitted. Section 14F, applicable to all special use permits. A, no special use permit shall be granted by the Board of Adjustment unless the board first finds that all of the following conditions exist. Number 5, the special use is not inconsistent with the comprehensive plan and land use policies. This is an ordinance, not a guideline. Our comprehensive plan is adamant about securing the tax base, land use, future land use, agricultural growth, our rural character, and last but definitely not least, agricultural land. There are many other options for MidAmerican outside of Madison County to allow for a switch station. This substation and transmission lines are not consistent with our comprehensive plan. Section 17D4 of the ordinance states, under no circumstances until the BOA shall be satisfied that granting the variation will not, A, merely serve as a convenience to the applicant, D, increase the hazard from fire and other danger to said property, E, diminish the value of land in the county, G, otherwise impair the public health, safety, or general welfare. The comprehensive plan is not just a guideline to be taken lightly or pushed aside or excused by a large corporation to use our county as a stepping stone to reap millions in federal tax dollars at our expense. This is not what the residents want. I oppose the approval of this special use permit. Thank you for your service.
Anyone else?
I'd like to say something. My name is Penny Radakovich. My address is 1725 120th Street. I just have a couple of comments I'd like to make. Some of the things that the board probably hasn't heard. For you guys with MidAmerica, I live there. We have land just to the north of where the substation is going to be. We also have land to the west. We have power poles that go through our property. So I think because of this, I really appreciate you wanting to have the substation, and I appreciate the fact that you say that you want to lower our energy costs. Now, I'm on MidAmerican Energy. I don't know how many of you guys are on MidAmerican Energy, but my energy costs in the last 2.5 years have gone up significantly. And I haven't added any new appliances in my house. We haven't added any extra cattle waterers. It's the same thing, but our energy costs are going up. The other thing I would like to say is where you want the substation. We've rented land from Jack Godby, Eisenberg's. We're in the cattle business. We rented their pasture land. We used to put hay bales at the end of the dead end place. We had to stop putting hay bales there because kids would go down there and start them on fire. So my concern is vandalism. We're in the northern part of the county, and we have a really hard time getting our sheriff and police department to come out and monitor anything. We live really close to Goldner Woods, and we have had, which is a beautiful little county park, we have vandalism there probably 2 or 3 times a month. And I can guarantee you this is a real problem in this area. And we just don't have the infrastructure to take care of vandalism there. So those are a couple of my concerns.
My name is Chris Campus. I'm a neighbor of Penny to the south of the proposed substation. I've been down that road, and Penny's 100% accurate. It's a site of potential vandalism. Same way at Golden Woods. My wife, son, and I go there regularly. For better or worse, that's just a fact of the matter. And I listened to the representative from MidAmerica talk about reliability concerns. I am unaware of any of those concerns requiring a substation where it is. You mentioned balloons and aircraft and things flying into lines. I'm unaware of any of that happening out where we are. The other thing I noticed is this opens the door. The representative said, well, you know, we can't disclose any more information. That'll come down the road. Well, once you open the door to this, there's going to be more, there's going to be more, there's going to be more. So my wife, son, and I would oppose this for the reasons already stated. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Heather Stansel, 525 Northwest 3rd Street, Earlham. I'm also one of the county supervisors. So I just wanted to make the board aware of some things, just some housekeeping items. Currently, Madison County has 10 different substations in our county. This is excluding the Winterset substations, obviously, because that's one in the city. 5 are owned by MidAmerican, 4 are owned by Farmers Electric, and 1 is owned by SIPCO, or Central Iowa Power Cooperatives. I apologize for the acronyms. Only one of the above is the same size as the proposed site. It has an acreage of 24.59 acres. It's owned by MidAmerican, and the location is southwest of Patterson. It currently has a CSR of 31.25. So it's not impossible to build a substation on a lower CSR, because they've already done it. If you want to know where it's at, it's off of Quail Ridge Road, Union Township. Okay. The remaining 9 substations have the same CSR as this proposed one or higher. However, they are far smaller and therefore take less prime farmland out of production. 1 is less than 2 acres, 5 are less than 1 acre, and 3 are less than 10 acres. So just keep that in mind. MidAmerican also said the substation is expected to reduce other transmission infrastructure, and I'm in support of that. However, does this mean that some of the other substations will go away in addition to the lines that are attached to them? If so, which ones? And will that land be able to go back into production to offset this larger parcel use? You may not be aware that there's also a new SIPCO transmission, sorry for the acronym, Central Iowa Power Cooperative. Transmission line that's being proposed southeast of Winterset to the substation there. I believe MidAmerican mentioned it earlier. Since this transmission line falls under the Iowa Utilities Board authority, eminent domain is permitted. It does not fall under county ordinances, unlike substations. As MidAmerican noted in their presentation before the Zoning Commission a week ago, I think, there will be potentially 1 new transmission line eventually to this substation, and possibly more, depending on growth of the counties around us. Unlike the Des Moines landowner who owns this parcel, they negotiated a $34,000 per acre price. The landowners will have their land taken for transmission lines will get far less than that, and they'll have no negotiation power when there's the specter of eminent domain over your head. The state currently sets the value of the land given that's taken by eminent domain. And based on what was shared at the transmission line presentation for SIPCO, that's roughly a little bit under $10,000 an acre. While I am a big property rights proponent, as most of you are aware, the landowners who have their property taken away without their consent is also important. So that's something we need to balance. Which landowner is more important? So I'm very concerned about the rights of the landowners who could potentially have their land taken with transmission lines feeding this substation. The last census showed that our county grew by less than 900 people at the last census. For us, that's explosive growth. But if you compare it to Warren, Polk, and Dallas, that's very little. So the comprehensive plan and the new RFP that I actually wrote for the comprehensive plan are both clear that rural ag should be protected, as well as a rural lifestyle. View sheds was also something we should consider. And a 24-acre substation with transmission lines of unknown size and load capacity will definitely interrupt both. And load capacity is key here. Usually with the largest substations, they can take greater load. Greater load means bigger transmission lines. Now, I'm all about technology reducing that, but these things are going to be big for a substation of that size. Please note that our ordinances do not require that we approve everything a utility wants. I believe Shelley said that earlier. It's a may, not a shall, so keep that in mind. And it's only required to ensure that it's for public convenience. Now, some of the code and court cases that were cited for the board talk about the definition of public use. We did not use the term public use in our ordinances. We use public convenience. So there is a difference there. Also, too, that only applies if it's approved. So if you decide to approve this, then it must only be for public convenience. It's not the reverse. It is also important to note that court decisions cited by MidAmerican only address transmission lines, because that is the only authority the IUB has. They do not govern the siting of substations. So where they're talking about definitions of public use and what we can do, it's all about transmission lines. If you go ahead. And that falls under Iowa Code 474.9. In addition, regarding the additional citing of Iowa Code 352.6, Section 1 of this code limits ag land to only farm production. Section 2 says there are exceptions to that, but does not mean that you have to give them whatever they want. It is, you're supposed to allow it on ag, but we have, as a county, have the ability to regulate that. So, this is under the county purview, as our ordinances are and our comprehensive plan is. So far, no data has been provided to prove where in our county this projected growth is happening. Is this really to support the growth of surrounding counties? And if so, why are they not being built there? Well, we know Warren's growing. We know Dallas is growing. We definitely know Polk is growing. So why do we have 10 in our county and Warren only has 3? So that's a question I'd like to have answered. So regarding reliability, our grid was built and designed for consistent power generation and transmission. So it was not designed for intermittent and inconsistent power generation like you get with wind or solar. So the stress on the grid, I believe, is real. However, it's only there because we are putting this kind of power on our grid. And I'm sure it helps that there's a bunch of federal money in the most recent bills that were passed by Congress. So there's some incentive there to keep doing this. So that is also a concern of mine. In Race versus Electric Light and Power, 1965 court decision, the courts found that the petitioner has the burden of proof regarding utility need. I don't see a burden of proof here. So I ask that there be more discovery and conversation before this is approved. Thank you very much.
May I make one more comment, please? I'm not used to getting up and talking in front of a group. I have a husband who's spoken all over the world, but that's
So
not
Penny, I'd like for you to address us.
Sorry.
rather than the-
And this is, I am addressing you. So this afternoon, about 2 o'clock, my husband and I got a telephone call from a guy that wanted to buy some of our land for a solar farm. He wants 1,000 acres right next to this high line. So I haven't had the opportunity to talk to any of my neighbors yet to see if they've been approached. But I just want this board to be aware that somebody is out there, I don't know what group he's with, but he wants to buy or lease farmland. Just to let you know. Thank you.
Hi there. Some stuff kind of goes along with what Heather talked about. And then these are some maps of the routes of the major power lines.
David Threlkeld, 150 Northeast Birch, or Mile. I guess I have some questions here. They said they trying to purchase 24 acres in a 200-acre plot. Where's it at? You said it's underneath the transmission lines. Well, that's a quarter mile off the level B road. Did they bother to tell you that? I believe the 24 acres is on the corner of the Ori farm and the Schaefer farm. And there is a slough just to the east of it, with a pond just to the southeast of it. I don't know if they told you that or not. The transmission line has I believe eight fiber optic lines that run beside it on the north side of the power poles. I don't know if they bother to tell you that either. The level B road goes clear back, but there is a division there between the Ori farm and the Godby farm. I've hunted it. I know where most of this stuff is at. So they're going to have to build a road, I would think, from the level B over to the transmission lines. Because like I said, it's on the south side of the farm, of the Godby farm itself. This I know. I think they forgot to tell you that. Did they tell you where this 24 acres is at? Because they haven't told any, because there's 200 acres back here and it's on the end of the level B, which the level B is, like I said, almost a quarter of a mile from the power lines. And if you look on beacon.com, I believe it's right on the corner of the Schaefer Ori property. Now they say they're not going to have to put any more poles up, but in order to get to that property, they're going to have to do something to get them power lines down there, especially when it's right in the corner. If that's where it's at, I don't know because they haven't really said. You've got the map. I guess I didn't get one. Am I wrong? You guys will have to tell me. I have no idea. They said it was on the end of the level B. Like I said, there's 200 acres in there.
No, it's been designated.
We got a map, yeah.
I just found out about this yesterday. Like I said, I don't have any maps. I don't have any information really. I have knowledge of that area. And like I said, the power poles are on the south side of the property. And like I said, they go on the south side of the property and they run right down the Schaefer property line almost. And I know there's a pond on the south side of those power lines. They forgot to tell us all that.
I put a map up of where the location is. This is parcel C.
Can you highlight where the power poles are now, Ryan? Can you see them good enough?
You can see the pole there.
Why don't you find the level B road?
I mean,
Yeah,
these are,
it's
you can
on
see
the north
these.
side.
Those are the power poles. And the level B road is up at the top there, right, where the corner?
Yeah, so level B starts right here.
And the green is the property they want to buy, correct?
Yes.
As you can see, there's a lot of timber in other areas there. In a pond, there should be a pond there on the southeast corner almost.
Yeah.
Like I said, I know there's fiber optic lines that run on the north side of the power poles. They have that leased out because it's their right of way. I know this because I fought it. They said they was gonna put in one and they ended up with 8. And they was only gonna come on the property to maintain the one, but then they started adding more and more. I have a tendency not to believe anything they want to say. They talk very vaguely. Thank you for your time.
Dave Marsh, 1176 Adair Madison Avenue. I'll try not to repeat any of the stuff that Heather mentioned to you that, no, I don't want to waste your time, but I might end up duplicating some of it. Special use permits are when people or companies are asking to be allowed to bend our county ordinances. MidAmerica comes with an entitled frame of mind and puts a positive spin on what it wants the county to approve. Even though our county has the laws in place to protect its residents and county character, MidAmerican wants us to believe it's in our best interest to allow them permission to blindly permit a substation that will have new transmission lines connected to it. MidAmerica has also stated to consider the desires of the citizens of Madison County. Our citizens have consistently stated they want to preserve our rural character. Outside of our control, large data centers have been built that require large amounts of energy and require the power lines to support them. Madison County and its residents have already had land taken away from them by eminent domain for the new power lines to support these data centers. MidAmerica has guaranteed to provide renewable energy to these data centers and now is asking Madison County to give up our protected ag land to support their decisions. If this substation is built, the new power lines will come and our county will have no say. I researched substations in Madison County. MidAmerica, to the best of my knowledge, has 5 that have taken up 53.17 acres of ag land out of production. The other energy companies have 6 in rural Madison County, and they have taken a total of 4.28 acres of ag land out of production. I have also found the same verbiage used by MidAmerican when it reported that it was rebuilding 10 miles of transmission line between Earlham and Adel. The project will increase the reliability to the area as well as support customer load growth and voltage stability near the end points of each circuit. I feel they have completed the needed upgrades, and this new substation isn't about increasing reliability for Madison County residents. If the cities of Waukee and West Des Moines need the added reliability, then build or enlarge their substations there in Dallas County or Polk County. This project has all the signs of being more about receiving federal subsidies and not about increasing electric reliability for Madison County and its residents. Because this area for proposed substation is still in our county's control, and it doesn't meet all the requirements for a special use permit, I request denial of the special use permit. Thank you.
My name is Judy Neal, and I just have a couple of comments that I've overheard, and maybe MidAmerican can address these. I've heard comments that you are lying regarding the federal money it's stupid not to know what the Iowa Utilities Board has planned. We could build $1 million house on this property and get taxes that way. Well, what about the CSR? Houses that gonna be farming it. And regarding power bills, our power bills have gone down, I would say on an average of $10 a month over the past couple of years. And we have increased what we use our energy for. Thank you.
I'm Steve Reed. And this project does not affect my property, but I will throw this out so that you know, they are trying to put, they say it's not MidAmerican, they don't say it's SIPCO, they don't say who it is. They're trying to start at the St. Charles pavement and run a high voltage transmission line, just like what they're talking about. Single poles, 600 feet apart, one easement, go through all these properties down to Osceola to tie into something, which nobody can ever answer a question what that is, which then will go over, from what I gather, I don't have it in writing, to the east, which might be Illinois or who knows where, and then north to go up into Michigan or through Des Moines or wherever. I don't know if this project that I'm talking about has anything to do with this, but it seems to me like something is afoot, that they are trying to run a lot of lines through undesirable ground, which mine is undesirable ground. It's mostly timber, it's walnuts, trees and things like that. They don't recognize any kind of timber, it's just cropland. So you can go in and doze all your timber out and you can keep it, but I have continued growth there for many years for my grandkids and that. So I've got 40 acres, they're wanting to come through there. And so everybody says, okay, well, if you force that, does that mean, so you're gonna build it right on the property line, right on the fence line? Well, no, we'll probably pick one side or the other. Well, that's all well and good, but if you pick my neighbor, which I don't want any of it, none of my neighbors want it. We filed objections with the utility board, and we have about 95% of all the landowners objecting. I don't want it there, but if you end up putting it there, and you put it on my neighbor's ground, I get nothing but to look at it for the rest of my life, and my grandkids' life, and all of that. So, I don't want the money. I don't want the line. The line, they say, oh, it doesn't have any adverse effects. It does. I can't prove it, but I'm just telling you that something seems afoot in our county. They would like us to roll over and play dead and run some lines through, and I don't know if that line's gonna tie into this line or that transmission station. I don't know. Nobody here is gonna know. They know. They're not saying. And because he's repeatedly, and I've sat in front of this group in Truro, some of them, I mean not all of them, but you can talk to them for 4.5 hours and ask all the questions you want, and they say, well, did that answer your question? No, it did not. They're great politicians. And I don't have anything against these folks, that's their job. I get it. And I've been a contractor for 50-some years, and I've dealt with MidAmerica, I've dealt with SIPCO, I've dealt with all of them on projects that I do. And they'll tell you what they would think you would like to hear. And down the road, once they have that easement, just like with the fiber optic line, once they have that easement, they can put anything they want to in there because they have that permanent easement. And I'm just saying, so I'm throwing out that to everybody and I'll shut up and sit down. Thank you.
Mark Statlander, 2574 250th Lane. Dave, I'm going to violate the rules right away because I have a comment that has nothing to do with this project. I want to thank each and every one of you for serving on this board. And I appreciate your willingness and the time that you've committed to doing this, because I know it's not easy. And these meetings and other boarding meetings for people to volunteer to serve, and I truly appreciate it. So I'm going to try not to repeat anything that's said. I have a few notes. I think pretty much everything's covered. I believe that you need to think about the word creep, because I think if this substation gets approved, the door just opened and they just started creeping in the county. Several people have articulated that. I mean, no disrespect to the MidAmerican people, and I agree with the last gentleman. I think they're doing their job. They're instructed on what to say and how to say it, and we all have a job and we've got something to do. But I am not by myself, but with a number of other people. I've been for several years concerned about what's the next movement. So once the wind turbine farms got denied, I don't think it takes much of an intelligent person to figure out the lines are coming next. I don't know how you describe it. I don't understand their business, but you can't have 500 and some wind turbines on the west side of our county, and I don't know any more on the south, and this not at some point connect. And I will tell you this from experience. Your actions are proven by what you do, or your actions are shown by how you behave. I'm probably the only person in this room that was at the Iowa Utility Board meeting when MidAmerica wanted to put in 4 or 5 miles of lines up in the northeast part of the county. Those citizens articulated this. We don't want to look at them, and we don't want our property values to go down, and we're concerned that that would be the issue. The response was, but then they said, could you run those lines underground? This ties back into the CSR land being highest quality land. They don't want to spend any more money to level out something else. The response was, that is economically infeasible. Now, I've been in finance for a lot of years. I'm aware of Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway. I know how much money they have sitting in cash in their fund because they can't even employ it into the market because they have so much money. And they came back and they said, no, it's economically infeasible. What they basically said is, we don't want to spend that money on this project. We don't want to spend any additional money on this project if they were allowed to have this substation, because it doesn't work in their benefit. Again, no disrespect to these people. They're doing their job. Their commitment to is to, get the cost in as cheap as they can. My encouragement to the 5 of you is this. There are, I think, one person tonight that has spoken in favor of this. Look at the number of people that have spoken against it. I thank you for doing your job. Do your job. Listen to your citizens and vote for people that are speaking up against this. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I listened to people here tonight. I don't know how to put it. Putting the line improvements down. But I run into a fella 6 months ago, and he worked for the windmill people, driving a cat, making foundation sites for the windmills. And he told me that the infrastructure of our electric grid in this country is not in very good shape altogether. So they want to run a line toward I-35. If there were going to build 6 houses on that 20 acres, nobody could farm it, and that would be a wonderful thing. But them 6 houses are going to take more electricity. And the northeast part of Madison County, if it hasn't already started growing, it's right on the edge of it. And they better get the lines in before that happens. Thank you.
What was your name, sir?
Steve Neal.
Anyone else have comments? Okay. So move forward. Okay, after hearing comments from all interested or affected individuals and organizations, noting that consideration will be given to all comments and suggestions that have been made, I would ask for a motion to close the public hearing. Motion.
I motion to close.
Seconded.
Been moved and seconded to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, so the public hearing for the consideration of the conditional use permit to be issued to MidAmerican Energy Company is closed at 8:29. So the Board of Adjustment can consider each case and render a decision. So next, Board of Adjustment members, please complete the decision making worksheets.
But the electrical line is part of that, whether they want it or not.
The zoning ordinance, section 14-E. Is it in this book somewhere? The other picture, okay.
Oh, that's it.
You're supposed to know.
Because he's
Stare in front of the chair.
But I was kind of keeping an eye on
I can't find subsection 7.
So number 3, don't answer that one.
I made him put in 2 more on each side.
Is number 1 just meaning
That's
that
where all the
they
water
can request?
comes down. Comes out of the pond.
Yeah.
They put your roof on upstairs. And I made them put 2 more ponds on each side.
Yeah, we should be okay.
Well, and then they do, but they didn't provide it here, and it's basic on here, and also here. So you pump into one and it sits out. They made, told me you gotta make it so that You just reach in there with the color, put dirt over here. They never had to do that. But then on the very last one, it comes up, you know. But a section of it down into the water tap. So that no animals can get into it. And then, you know, where it breaks. DNR approved and all that. But they really haven't had to pump that much this year. There was that one time. Yeah, that one time, was it last year? We had that 4 or 5 inch rain. Because I went down there, and I had to picture because we pumped so much water. Was probably 45, 50. And the pump was underwater, I sent the picture and laughed. There, this was on Sunday. He said, you don't have to worry about doing anything about it. You know, I says, you see these little stacks about yay high above the water? I says, if you blow it up, it's all there. That's your pump. And he came out that afternoon, and they had to push a rock over this blast.
Need my walker light?
I've used one for about 2 months, so.
One thing to the next, so.
Go to sleep for hours, get up at 2 and start running.
They was trying to blast one of their. I'm sure they saw it. So then they started doing
Yeah, I don't remember it, but I know where we live. Yeah.
And they have
his part of the RV.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, my dad has his line to somebody.
you all.
I'm sure you'll have security
But that's part of
We're seeing
My daughter's out in Houston now. She's like that there.
in his family.
My daughter's boyfriend's family lives down Yeah, they're okay on building houses.
He spent a lot of time. My refrigerator.
I'm within 40 feet.
How did he accomplish that? I mean, I can believe it because I've been around.
That way city avoids federal law. Bond controls. It doesn't benefit state aid. I couldn't. They might get.
Okay, is there a motion regarding the conditional use permit request? What's your motion?
I make a motion that we consider the decision for this request,
Okay, consider to approve it,
to approve it or disapprove.
well, which is it?
I disapprove.
So you're moving to disapprove?
Yes.
Deny?
To deny.
Okay. Okay, it's been moved, is there a second?
I second.
Been moved and seconded to deny the proposal. So now let's go with roll call votes. So, Dawn,
Deny.
Fred,
We skipped the other part.
Are we approving?
We skipped that
the
part.
motion was to deny the request.
I approve to deny the
Okay. That's why. Mary Catherine?
I denied the request.
Okay. Mike?
I made the motion, so you know where I am.
And I am the same. So the motion is denied.
Still a couple things left on there.
Okay, so we need to do the findings of fact. Okay, the board will now review the findings of fact and legal principles upon which the board acts. Request a motion on the board of adjustment findings of fact and legal principles upon which the board acts related to the request of MidAmerican Energy Company for the conditional use permit height authorization related to the request in section 10, Madison Township, currently owned by Godly Eisenberg Family Farm LLC. So we need a motion to approve or deny the board of adjustment findings of fact and legal principles upon which the board acts in a second. So do I have to hear a motion to approve or deny?
This is what is the last, the findings of fact are all of the principles upon which are in our ordinance that you're making your decision based on.
That we already filled out, is that what you're
No,
No.
it's in so the last blue tab, it's after the last blue tab. That's what they said. Yes.
That's different.
I would, they're gonna turn it in.
So this is what we're going to approve. The Board of Adjustment findings of fact and legal principles upon that. You find that.
So we're approving your finding of fact, or making a motion.
Yeah.
I make that motion, that we approve the finding of fact.
Okay, motion made by, is there a second? Keith Fred. So, we'll go with Don to approve the finding of fact.
Yes.
Okay. Fred?
Yes.
Mary Catherine?
Just a minute, I'm looking at it, just a minute, I wanna make sure I figure out what. That we were given this information is what you're saying, right?
Basically, we're approving this criteria.
Okay, yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I say yes. Okay, so the matter requested MidAmerican Energy is closed at 9:01.
So then you gotta figure this out, and it's not, you have to require it, right? Can you say that?
That's just for the chair.
Just for him.
Yeah.
Could I address the board just quickly? I'm County Attorney Erin Hardesty.
Yeah.
I haven't met all of you yet, I just got appointed recently. So since this is my first meeting, I just want to make sure I'm clear. So you guys, on your forms, indicated your specific findings of fact in support of your decision. And then what I would plan to help
This
with,
form you're talking.
on the forms that you all had and filled out,
Yeah.
supporting your
Yes.
vote. Yeah. Okay, perfect. What I would plan to do is help kind of put those together into a factual findings. So it's a big hearing, there's a lot of information presented, so I think I can work with Ryan on doing that. Is that typically what you guys would have done, or?
Yeah, that's what we would do.
Okay.
Basically gather that.
Yeah.
Chairman will sign it.
Just getting familiar with your procedure, so thank you.
We just got a motion to adjourn, right?
Well, yeah, I'd read this, the board is bound by rules.
Oh, okay. This board is bound by rules and laws, and these are the determinants it must use when considering applications. If you feel the board has erred in any decision rendered at this meeting, you may appeal that decision pursuant to section 17, subsection F1, which states, appeals from decisions of the Board of Adjustment. Any taxpayer or any officer, department, board, a bureau of Madison County, or any person or persons jointly or severally aggrieved by a decision of the Board of Adjustment may present to a court of record a petition duly verified setting forth that such decision is illegal in whole or in part, specifying the grounds of illegality. Such petition shall be presented to the court within 30 days after the filing of the decision of the board. So, do we have any old business? Okay, since it's a, ask for a motion to adjourn then.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Second? Then you move the second to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.